Hello everyone, and welcome to The Lotus and the Lion. This channel is dedicated to all things inspiring, spiritual, and at times controversial. I'm Kimmy Malay. I'm a transformation and trauma coach, and have a lot of interests. So this channel will be kind of dedicated to a lot of things, but I really hope that my goal with this channel is that with each episode you can gain some insight, some tools that you can incorporate into your own life that will assist you in your everyday healing and struggles and just learning how to navigate the waters of life. Today, I'm so excited about this topic. It's something that I feel so passionate about, and I just have been itching to get on here and share it with all of you. So today's episode is about suffering. You know, this is the big, great question that so many of us have. Why do we suffer? What is the meaning of suffering? What is the point of suffering? Well, it's not what you're gonna expect. The meaning of suffering is the suffering. The suffering is the meaning. Conquering it, getting through it. And so a lot of people think there is no meaning in suffering, but I disagree. And just through my own suffering and trials and a lot of research, watching and observing other people, I have realized that suffering comes with great gifts. All of your trials serve a purpose, and it's so crucial and key that you recognize and find that purpose. Finding that is crucial to your healing. So, you know, life is full of struggles, and we know this. We see the hero's journey play out in nearly all of the books, all of the movies, and it's reflected in our outer world because the heart knows the true nature of reality and of the soul and what we're doing here. But for some reason, we've told ourselves that we can escape this. We can watch the struggles on the movies, or we can read about the struggles in the books, but we can just avoid them, you know. And what we want is always just right in front of us, just an arm's length away. And what we don't want, aka the suffering, is kind of always right behind us, like a fire just right on our heels. And so I've learned a lot about this, and I have some people that I really look up to when it comes to this topic. One of them is Thich Nhat Hanh, and he has the book No Mud, No Lotus, and I think the meaning there is pretty obvious. For the lotus to bloom, it has to work its way up through the mud, and that's its plight. Its plight is to learn how to thrive despite its circumstances, despite its environment. So recently, I read the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you have not read this book, I really urge you to read it. It's not long, it's not a difficult read, but it will change your life. It truly will. Viktor Frankl, he survived the unthinkable. He survived the concentration camps in Nazi Germany, and actually Auschwitz, the infamous death camp. He survived, and he lived through many tragedies and horrors. He was a psychologist, and he had already developed his own approach to therapy called logotherapy. He had written his manuscript on it, but when he was taken to the camp, that manuscript ended up being lost, and he ended up recreating it, writing many books, and one of them is Man's Search for Meaning. Now, Viktor Frankl is a psychologist. His view differs slightly, I shouldn't say slightly, quite a bit from many other of the greats, the other Goliaths in this field. So Nietzsche believed that man was in the pursuit of power, and that was basically the whole purpose. We were eternally searching power. Freud believed it was pleasure. Frankl believed that both of those only occur as a result of a lack of meaning. That the ultimate search for man is meaning. The ultimate pursuit is meaning. And so I believe that society is so empty right now because of what Viktor Frankl calls the existential void. And this void is a lack of meaning. And when we have that lack of meaning, we try to fill this void up with anything else. And then that's when we become, instant gratification seeking, pleasure seeking, power seeking. And so, we do this with many different ways, whether it's addiction, oftentimes it is addiction, maybe depression, and people, they just develop this emptiness. And it also really explains why a lot of people in privileged positions in society, whether that be celebrities or some of the really just rich and powerful, you hear some of these people committing suicide or really struggling with depression, and it's mind-blowing. Like, you think, well, what do they have to be sad about? They have everything. But they don't. Because, you see, their pursuit has been things, pleasure, or power. And both, according to Frankl, only occur due to a lack of meaning. So because meaning is the ultimate pursuit in life, when we're lacking that, we end up feeling empty and despondent, and it can lead us down some really dark paths. Life's purpose is growth, and growth only happens through challenge, and challenge often happens through suffering. So for me, this has always been my ultimate search. Why do we suffer? I have to know why we suffer. And through my own trials, I realized, and I still say this to everyone else, the first step in your healing is to become dedicated to finding the meaning. I can't tell you what the meaning is in your suffering. No one else can tell you what the meaning is in your suffering. It is your responsibility to discover the meaning of your suffering. And that's what Viktor Frankl believes too, that you can't just apply this like broad, I know why you suffer, I know why the world suffers. It's very individual. Our suffering is tailored to our souls and what our soul needs to develop fully. So I think of it like a video game, and I'm gonna show my age here, but if you've ever played Mario Brothers, then or really probably any video game, the goal is to conquer all that stands in the way, right? All of the obstructions, everything that obstructing the path, whether that's saving the princess or whatever the end of the game is. It's full of trials and struggle. And the irony is, as you level up, it gets harder, right? And that seems counterintuitive when you really think about it. Like, well, if I'm leveling up, shouldn't things be getting easier? Because I'm becoming more skilled, right? But no, because what happens is we're constantly being met at our skill level. So as your skill level increases, so do your struggles. Because if they didn't, there would be nothing to continue to encourage your growth. So those have to constantly, the ante has to constantly be upped with our struggles as we grow and learn. So unfortunately, the more skilled you become, or the more resilient, or whatever it is that you're doing to master your life, trust me when I say your challenges will increase too. And but the hope is that as we become more skilled and we gain more tools, we will get better at navigating these storms. I've been so excited to get on here and share this. I know this video is going to be short. I have so much more that I want to expand on and really get into the nitty-gritty of this. But I just want to briefly share with you some of the gifts of suffering. Yes, gifts. Most of what we pursue is material. It's what can this material world give me? And so we seek status, power and pleasure. We seek things, power and pleasure. But those are all fleeting. So if you believe there's more to this life than just your flesh, and you believe in an afterlife, and you know you have a soul, then you know that we're trying to attain something here that does last, something eternal. So I want to share with you some of the rewards of suffering, things that my soul has gained through my own suffering. Triumph. All triumph comes from suffering. Achievement. The art of self-sacrifice. Empathy. I can relate to others better because of my trials. Will and determination. Endurance. Faith. Courage. These are all character building. When I was a kid, and I've told this story so many times, so if you're familiar with some of my work and you've heard this story before, I apologize, but it's just good. You know, I remember when I was a kid, and that was my main question. Yeah, I've been questioning this stuff my whole life. And I asked my grandma, why do bad things happen to good people? And she said, because we are silver in the kiln. And every time you are burned by the fire, you come out brighter. And I didn't understand that very much as a kid, but I do now. It makes perfect sense. Because it is through suffering, it is through our trials that we gain our greatest spiritual gifts. I think this is the first step to any healing. If you can't find the meaning, if you view what happened to you as completely and utterly meaningless, you will always see yourself as a victim. And I'm not here to tell you that the things happened to you were okay, or that they weren't wrong, or that you shouldn't have any damage from it, because there are truly some atrocious, evil things in the world that, watching others suffer is, I mean, I have a bleeding heart. It's one of the hardest things for me, and I would do anything to take that from you. And even my children, I spent most of my life this way until I realized that a lot of the times we are robbing others of their opportunities by saving them from everything. And that's not to say that we should stand by and allow others to suffer and not stand up. That too is part of our challenge. So only you really know. Every person's path is unique and individual. Only you really know what purpose your specific suffering is serving and what you are being called to do by the universe. But when you get clear on this and you continue to make that your goal, whatever it is that's rising up, ask, why? What is the universe telling me here? I promise you, your life is going to change. Thanks for tuning in.